It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
The other day, you brought up Miranda Devine, who broke that big bombshell about dirty money going into foreign money into Act Blue. And it's sort of serving as a conduit and then going into Democratic campaigns. That's a biggie and obviously illegal and bad in so many ways.
And they just indicted Mayor Adams for that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Judge, because you look at that issue and now we're talking about enormous bucks here. Joining us now is Congressman Nick Langworthy from New York. He's a former chair of the New York GOP. He's also on the House Oversight Committee. And Congressman, tell us what some of you have discovered. It's a big deal.
Well, thank you so much for having me back, John and Rita. We've just enough. We have to get this investigation underway, and the House, Committee on Oversight and Accountability has sent a demand to Treasury for any suspicious activities reports from banks regarding Act Blue. Act Blue does not have the safeguards that a normal credit card transaction would have. They don't require the 3-digit code on the back of the card to make the transaction. So, the volume of money showing up into Democratic campaigns dwarfs any normal expectation. The challengers, who aren't famous by any standards on a national level, are supposedly getting donations that are under the level of disclosure. Under $200 does not have to be disclosed where the source of the money is. It's showing up through Act Blue, and you have candidates in some of the New York races that are raising $1.4, $1.5 million every quarter. In California, they've had some that eclipse $2 million in a quarter, in large sums coming through Act Blue. This defies any common sense. You have Kamala Harris herself. The day after she became, it was announced she'd be the candidate, she announced that she had raised $81 million overnight. And allegedly, 60% of these people have never given a single donation before. She never gave a speech. She didn't announce a policy proposal, yet we're led to believe 60% of these people have never been politically engaged financially, and then they went online and gave money when they didn't do it in the age of Bernie Sanders or Trump or Obama. None of that motivated them. But Kamala Harris, an uninspiring candidate for the presidency, that failed in her own quest for the presidency, she supposedly brought that to the forefront. It doesn't pass any common sense smell test, and we want to go look at the facts. So we're demanding those suspicious activities reports.
Congressman Langworthy, I understand Congress, you guys, the committee, hired a company to do the investigation, and they did a good job, I heard?
Well, the House Committee on Administration, which governs congressional elections, has a massive data firm and a data project that's been there, and they've presented all of this. We're taking that work and then moving to the next step, going directly to the Treasury Department, which warehouses the suspicious activities reports to banks. And that's where we're going to go get that credit card data so we can see, is there foreign money here? I mean, this system is so rife with loopholes that you could have someone like a Soros who could have very easily created a credit card cloning portal that would allow straw donations, which seems to be a topic people want to talk about in New York City today. Or you could very well have foreign money coming into our elections, and that's what we need to get to the bottom of. It would take very little investment for a foreign entity to come in through Act Blue and really tip the scales in a key congressional race.
And I understand you hired 5 outside attorney generals.
No, they referred.
They referred it to 5 attorney generals to investigate it because you didn't want to go to the Department of Justice because you felt insecure about that.
Well, I don't think that we can. I think that they have proven their inability to self-police. I mean, you see a weaponization of the Department of Justice right now, and that's a sad reality we've seen come down on President Trump this election. But one attorney general in particular, Attorney General Mayeres of Virginia, has done a great job laying out this case. He's got an active investigation, but we're going to do our part at the House Oversight Committee by using our subpoena power to go for those suspicious activity reports from the banks, just like we did with Hunter Biden. And we uncovered a lot of facts that led to ultimately the Department of Justice having to prosecute him.
Congressman, it's Judge Richard Weinberg. I'll tell you what troubles me. You mentioned the name Soros. Now, Soros has been the guy behind the defund police movement, getting the radical left DAs in place who refuse to prosecute. Now you see Alex Soros, who's the beneficiary of the family wealth and the future heir of all those billions. He's now meeting one-on-one private dinners with the vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, Governor Walz, which raises real kinds of questions. They're running as moderates, but we know Soros is a far-left radical who's undermining this country. Your thoughts?
Soros has done more social engineering in this country than I think any of us will ever understand, with the dark money that has shown up. And that's why I invoke his name in this situation. I actually, from my perch in the Oversight Committee, I also started an investigation last week that we just announced today on the fact that he has purchased 200 radio stations in America under the umbrella of Odyssey. He went in and bought their debt in their company in bankruptcy. And these are radio stations, much like WABC. They're all over the country, and they're bringing the voice of common sense and giving the conservative movement
not anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say that's done.
It won't be anymore.
Right.
But you have the FCC, who has taken and we had a hearing last week where we had a commissioner of the FCC, and I questioned him directly. Have you ever seen a purchase with foreign investment like this one expedited? But what do you know? The FCC has expedited this purchase.
Wow. That's because the Democrats control the FCC. Isn't that right, Congressman?
They have weaponized each and every three-letter department in this government, and this is what's on the line in this election. The FCC has never expedited a hearing on a purchase like this, especially when there's foreign investment involved. Yet they've taken this unprecedented step, and we've started an investigation on that as well.
Wow. Ed Cox, go ahead.
Congressman, can it be challenged in court, what the FCC just did? That they're violating their usual procedures?
Well, we're really looking at all angles of this. I mean, that is perhaps an option. I believe that, Soros came forward and paid a handsome price for these radio stations. I mean, and these are 200 across America right now, as Odyssey was in a deep part of debt. I mean, this got my attention because my home AM, conservative radio station, WBEN in Buffalo, is one of those stations that's going to be absorbed by the Soros interests. And, all the conservative voices there can be silenced. So we look at our options in the court of law. But the FCC, those commissioners are appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. We have a couple conservatives on there, but not enough to have the majority of that board. And this Republican commissioner that testified before the Oversight Committee last week made it clear he has never seen and is unaware of any instance where the FCC has expedited a purchase like that.
That's interesting. And
Congress, you have a special responsibility with respect to following all the congressional races that are up in the air. Could you quickly give us your analysis of that, where it is?
Well, I am a vice chairman of the NRCC, former state party chairman. I was Ed's successor, and then he's my successor. So, he's a Grover Cleveland of the state Republican Party.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't know. Grover's kind of old.
Yeah. And you're young. But I am thrilled to use, my experience to help this team. We have to return a majority. We have been the only thing standing in the way of Build Back Better in the Biden agenda, which I think we all know the peril that we've been under for the last 3.5 years. And it's now in the American people's hands. But for the last year and a half, we've been holding the line in making sure that their agenda was kneecapped, and that was what was critically important. We're going to win this majority. It's tight, and we have 35 seats in America that hang in the balance, but we need everybody's help to do it.
Well, you got to keep up those investigations, too, because that would be at stake. So, bravo.
The American people have to realize one thing. All these investigations go down the toilet if they lose the Republican majority.
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
It's so important. Congressman, thank you so much.
Yes.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, Dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.